story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV News at 7. I am Frank Omanape. Here are some of the stories we're filing at this time. 54 years after he designed the Nigerian flag, the federal government has finally honored Taiwo Akikumi. He was one of 313 persons recipients of the national awards handed out by President Goodluck Jonathan in commemoration of Nigeria's 54th independence anniversary. The president directed that the 77-year-old man be placed on the salary of a presidential aide for life. Also, a taxi driver will return the equivalent of 80 million naira to each owner was honored.
It's another National Honors Award ceremony in commemoration of the country's independence anniversary. And as usual, politicians and Nigeria's military leaders are on the honors list. But this time, a number of ordinary people are recognized for exemplary behavior. Apart from receiving national honors, 3 of them were given houses in the Federal Capital Territory. One of them, Ime Uswa, returned 18 million naira left in his taxi cab to the owner in 2007.
Take Mr. Ime Uswa, just discussing the taxi driver whose daily income was not more than 10,000 naira. The passenger forgot 18 million naira in his taxi and went away. The man did not have Mr. Oswald's name or his phone number. The honest Nigerian spirit in Mr. Oswald led him to go hunting for the owner of the 18 million naira, and he delivered it to him intact. This is how it should be.
Also, the man who designed the Nigerian flag 54 years ago at the age of 23 is one of the recipients of the Commander of the Order of the Niger. He is also to earn the salary of a special assistant to the president for life.
The person who designed the Nigerian flag, Michael Taiwo Akikumi, who was also honored here, you have to place him on a salary of a special assistant to the president forever.
In all, 313 individuals were considered worthy of being on the 2013-2014 honors list. And although a handful of them were nominated by members of the public, many are top politicians.
When you are being recognized like this, it's a wake-up call that what you are doing here is appreciated. It's not being on notice, and that we should do more. So that's the totality of what this award represents.
Well, let me say that I give thanks to God for this day, and I also give thanks to Mr. President for giving us the opportunity to serve under him. I am actually humbled by the award because I didn't expect it. But on the other hand, also for me it's a challenge. Now that I've been given such an award, it means that there's still a lot to do in the service of humanity, in the service of Nigeria and Nigerians.
The government of Nigeria, particularly Mr. President, found me worthy of recognition today. It's not everybody that has worked hard for Nigeria that has been recognized. I consider this a privilege and a call for higher service, continuing to fight for a just and equitable Nigeria.
I feel challenged. I feel that it's a challenge for me to remain more committed to the service of the people of this country. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that with renewed challenge, with renewed hard work and diligence, that this nation will excel.
This year's recipients bring to 4,737 the number of Nigerians honored with the national award since 1963.
The Ekiti State Police Command has arrested 19 persons over the murder of a former Ekiti State Chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Omolafe Aderiye. CoreTV News learned that the 19 persons, including one female, were arrested in a strange operation carried out over the weekend. The State Police Public Relations Officer Victor Babayemi will confirm the arrest to journalists in Ado-Ekiti on Monday did not reveal the identity of those arrested. He said they remain innocent until investigation prove otherwise. Aderiye, a staunch supporter of the governor-elect Ayo Farishi, was killed on Thursday in the Nijigbo area of the state capital, Ado-Ekiti. His death sparked violence across the state on Friday, leading to the burning of the houses and cars of a former state chairman of Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria, Rotimi Olabiwonu. Our reactions continue to trail the crisis in Ekiti State, which was preceded by two separate attacks on court sitting in the state by political thugs allegedly loyal to a top politician. Legal practitioner Malaki Ugumadi says the act is a show of shame and a rape of the judiciary.
Section 308 of the Constitution does not give to a governor-elect the attributes or the defense or the shield of immunity. No. You can only enjoy immunity upon assumption of office when you have taken the oath of office and allegiance. And therefore, Nigeria will be democratizing, will be deepening the democratic process. And I call on my friend Lakumi to arrest those who you identify. Arrest them. It is immaterial whether the prosecution or the completion of the prosecution will not be effectual before assumption of office. But let's have records, because 4 years down the line, we must have thoroughly investigated cases to hang on and pursue this project in Nigeria, including, of course, that you don't ride roughshod. The judiciary was raped. Professor Woloshenkai says, I smell the sperm of tyranny before the rape of the nation. The judiciary was raped.
All Progressive Congress caucus in Cardinal Assembly has endorsed former head of state Muhammadu Buhari for the party's presidential ticket. The minority leader Muhammadu Ali said in a statement that all 12 APC members of the House are in support of the move. He added that in endorsing Buhari, the caucus noted that the former head of state has the capacity to make things work in the country. The APC caucus, a leader in the Kaduna State House of Assembly, argued that Nigeria needs someone like Buhari who can spearhead a proper crusade against corruption. The Department of State Services is to appeal the Federal High Court judgment which directed the agency to apologize to former FCT Minister Nasiru El-Rufai for wrongful detention. The court, which sat in Akwa Anambra State, also ruled that the APC chieftain be paid $2 million in compensation. But the DSS, in a statement issued by its spokesperson Marilyn Oga, insisted an appeal will be lodged because some facts may have been inadvertently overlooked by the court. She argued that the 1999 Constitution grants the security agency the statutory powers to detain and investigate any suspect for not more than 48 hours before recourse to a court of law. But Oga explained that in this instance, the complainant was not confined or detained for more than 2 hours. The independence of the judiciary in theory and practice has again been stated as very key to achieving genuine rule of law in the country. This was the submission of the discussant at a symposium organized by the Osun State Judiciary to mark its legal year. Rashid was there and filing this report.
With the disruption of election tribunal proceedings in neighboring Ekiti State by suspected political thugs and the crisis in the appointment of a new chief judge for Rivers State, the topic of discussion at the symposium could not have been more apt. With the theme, Independence of Judiciary, the Nigerian Experience, the symposium discussed the challenges plaguing the Nigerian judicial system, The guest lecturer, Olayiwola Oladele, a professor of law, bemoaned the dependence of the nation's judiciary on the executive arm of government for funding and implementation of court judgments. He called for financial autonomy and independent security agency for the judiciary, particularly in the wake of recent attacks on judges and lawyers in Ekiti State.
Boils down to the same thing that I said before. Enforcement is weak, protection of judges weak also, because they have to depend on the executive. So that's why you saw the aberration in Ekiti. The temple of justice should not be desecrated for any reason whatsoever. And when you see that happen, you wonder, where do we go from here? Here is a very important branch of government upon which all of us depend. And the judiciary is the hope of the common man.
The Osun State Chief Judge could not but agree with the guest lecturer in stressing the need for total independence of the judiciary.
The judiciary of Nigeria today, following several positive interpretation of those sections of the law and other provisions in material with it, the nation's judiciary has been acting bold. We have gone on one line of industrial action, policy of judiciary sub-union of Nigeria.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. As far as the state is concerned, there is no single case. There is no single case where there was an interference with the job of the judiciary or the courts. We don't interfere with them at all. The governor always tells us to keep our distance from the workings of the judges. So we don't interfere with them at all. They do their job free of any interference from the executive.
The symposium was part of the activities marking the 2014 legal year of the Osun State Judiciary. Rashid, CoreTV News.
The police have decentralized the issuance of tinted glass permit in the country. Police spokesperson Emmanuel Ojukwu said Inspector General Sulaiman Abba has delegated the part to commissioners of police in charge of state commands. He added that such permits have the same authority as those previously issued by force headquarters and are valid throughout the Federation. Ojukwu, however, says the police would have to examine vehicles before permits are granted to be sure the tinted glasses are factory fitted. You're watching CoreTV News at 7. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more stories after this time out. Join us again.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower and happenings around the country. Varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends from the events happening around you. It is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
Glad to have you back now. Day market on the outskirts of the Federal Capital Territory Monday witnessed a riotous scene which left many property destroyed. The crisis erupted when a commercial motorcyclist knocked down a woman crossing the road. An eyewitness who came to rescue the woman was stabbed in the back by the motorcyclist, who was later moved. Pai Samuel, however, reports that the area is currently under watertight security. His reports.
It's a Monday morning and the beginning of a new week at Day Market on the outskirts of the Federal Capital Territory. Business owners were out for the day's sales. But at 8 a.m., the story was no longer what the traders expected, as a commercial motorcyclist stabbed a man in the back. But these eyewitnesses say the culprits did not go scot-free.
Old woman she sells food with her barrow. So as she was about to cross the main road, she's almost through with the main road. So the Okada man ran into her, knocked her down. Everybody fell down. So instead of the Okada man to stand up and leave with them, just tell them sorry, or how do you do? He now start the Okada, leaving the passenger, everybody ran away. So on the process of running, within that junction there, he was knocked down by another vehicle. So now go there, cut him, bring back. Look at people you knocked down. What are you going to do now? The fellow Okada people now start coming. Unfortunately, we are surprised that guy was sampling his goods in the morning. Next thing we see, because the Okada was packed in his shop, so they were asking that they should release the Okada, so the Okada will go. They should give them the Okada, let them go. They're not even after the injured. All they were after is just give them, that's their Okada, let them go.
So the very guy, the stab knife at the back. So I'm the one who took him to hospital. So I went to hospital, getting to hospital at Saburi here. So the doctor told me that they cannot continue the treatment. Getting to Tomato Junction, so we saw a huge crowd of people, stoning, hitting, playing all sorts of dangerous weapons. Then we can continue moving towards them.
Property and businesses were destroyed within the market. Some traders who were affected narrated their experiences to CoreTV News.
As I was about to pack my things, I saw some group of, I don't know whether they are Igbos or Hausa, I don't know their tribe. They were coming with machetes and weapons, so they were running towards me. Then I had to leave my things and run away. So I ran back to the house to check how my family were doing. So coming back now, with the help of the market union and some soldiers that helped me come back. As I'm coming back now, I saw everywhere like this.
They destroyed my shop, both my garewa park inside, both my egusi. They just destroy everything wait there for my shop. Both my tomato, I don't see anywhere. My rice, my oil, I don't see anywhere. All of them don't damage.
This man parked his car here with the hope that he will return for it. But he came back to meet a burnt car.
I came to shop in the morning, I parked the car. Then because of go slow here, I used bike to do my business. So coming back here, I saw people, I saw many crowd here. So I asked my brother what happened. He said, outside people, they don't allow anybody to pass. So before you could know it, they started scattering everywhere. So we now ran inside our shop and lock ourselves. So before we could know it, they started breaking our windscreen. So after that, they set fire on it.
Security personnel were on ground to restore law and order. These vandals were not lucky, as the military deployed to the area caught them destroying and looting property. The leader of the police team also confirmed that the culprit has been arrested and is in custody.
I speak with you. We have men deployed on ground. We intend that the men will continue to monitor the situation there and feed us from time to time. And for now, the area is calm. We have hangers on, very, very willing to take advantage of any given situation. I think that was what happened this morning. But like I told you, we've engaged the leaders from all sections of the market, and we've spoken to them. They've held meetings with us, and we'll continue to hold meetings and engage them such a way that in the near future, any incident like this will be arrested immediately.
The crisis crippled business activities in the market for several hours on the first working day of the week. But for now, normalcy has returned to the area with security personnel fully on ground. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The United Nations says at least 3,700 children in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone will have lost one or both parents to Ebola this year, face being shown. UNICEF says care were urgently needed for those orphans. A basic human reaction like comforting a sick child has been turned into a potential death sentence, it added. The World Health Organization, WHO, says more than 3,000 people have died of Ebola in West Africa, the world's most deadly outbreak of the virus. The figure on the number of Ebola orphans follows a 2-week assessment mission by the UN Children's Agency to the 3 countries was affected by the outbreak. Earlier, reports say that 4,900 children had lost parents, but the correct figure is 3,700. It found that children as young as 3 or 4 years old were being orphaned by the disease. Children were discovered alone in the hospitals where their parents had died, or back in their communities where, if they were lucky, they were being fed by neighbors, but all other contact within was being avoided. 1 week after schools resume in the Nigerian capital, administrators are still conducting regular checks on students in the aftermath of the Ebola outbreak. They have also restricted playground activities, even though Nigeria is free of the disease for the second week running. A visit to many of the schools show how serious teachers and students take the task of preventing a new outbreak.
This is one of the many schools in the Nigerian capital which threw their gates opened on September 22 for the new academic session. Walking into the premises, one is greeted by security personnel with a handheld infrared thermometer. The next step is to either use water to wash the hands or make use of the sanitizer. The school principal told CoreTV News that other measures are in place, especially as the pupil ratio increases.
During the clubs and society time, all the children were grouped together, according to their age group, and they were being trained on how to make use of the sanitizer, how to make use of the wash hand basin and soap, even at their various homes. Then how to reduce having body contact with another person, either infected or not.
One of the steps taken here is to restrict playground activities for the time being, but pupils can still interact with contact as little as possible. And among the students, a number of them appear to have a fair knowledge of the disease, but some others see it as a playful opportunity.
You don't need to be so scared about this Ebola because the Ebola is curing small, little by little. What else I know about Ebola is because the thing is a very heavy sickness that you can easily die about that. It can kill people easily. But all I know that the thing is God has protected us from this Ebola.
Ebola disease is revolved from Boko Haram. Revolves from Boko Haram.
This girl is scared of what she's heard about Ebola, but appreciates efforts made by their school.
I thought that I could catch Ebola in the school.
Has that happened?
No.
Okay, when you come to school every morning, what do you do at the gate?
I sanitize my hand.
With many more schools expected to resume on October 6 across the country, it is increasingly clear that school administrators are heeding government's directive on measures to safeguard the health of pupils and staff.
You're still watching CoreTV News at 7. We'll take another break and I'll be back shortly with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Rise, oh compatriot, Nigeria, call, obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength.
Glad to have you back outside Nigeria now. The pro-democracy protesters have taken other moves of Hong Kong shutting down businesses and ignoring appeals to leave. The demonstrations, which have since spread from its initial point of the territory's main university to other areas, including the shopping district and the presidential area, has been described as illegal by Beijing, which has urged other countries not to support it. The Chinese Foreign Ministry, while commenting on the matter, says it opposes any move by any country to interfere with China's internal affairs, while the British government has called for the rights of people to protest to be respected. The protesters were a mix of students and supporters of the Occupy Central Pro-Democracy movement, all against Beijing's plan to vet candidates for Hong Kong's 2017 leadership elections. They want a free choice of candidate when they cast their ballots, something Beijing says is out of the question. An assistant police commissioner of the territory, Chen Tanquin, while speaking on the protest, says the police has used the bare minimum force with 41 people injured over the past 3 days, including police officers. But the protesters still remain camped near police barricades and government buildings while also building their own barricade. Well, and that's it on CoreTV News at 7 minutes. Thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Join us at 9:45 for our primetime bulletin. Good evening.